It is no secret that Nick Saban is not just the best coach in the SEC, but also the best coach in the entire country. But what about the other 13 coaches within the Southeastern Conference? How do they stack up against one another? We're going to answer that question today here at the Gridiron Expert as we rank the 14 head coaches in the SEC. From top to bottom, the best and the worst coach in the SEC. And we're going to go ahead and jump right on into our rankings, guys. Coming in at number 14, Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. Lee is the most inexperienced head coach within the Southeastern Conference. He went just 2-10 in his first year at Vanderbilt, which happens to also be his alma mater, but 2-10 in his first year with the Commodores, first year as a head coach. He's a brilliant defensive mind, did extremely well at Notre Dame as their defensive coordinator from 2018 to 2020, but he has a rough road ahead of him. It's an uphill battle. Expectations are not high at Vanderbilt, so that's one good thing that Lee has going for him, but it's going to take a very long time for Lee to try to bounce this program back, get them back to where they maybe used to be under James Franklin. Coming in at number 13, Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri. I can tell you that from the beginning, I was never a big fan of this hire at Missouri. I was never a big fan of the Drinkwitz hire, and I'm not a big fan of Drinkwitz as a whole. He's just 11-12 in 2 years at Missouri, including a disappointing 6-7 season in 2021. Many will point to the success that he had at Appalachian State, where he went 12-1 in 2019, but I believe the majority of that was because of Scott Satterfield and the foundation that he laid with the Mountaineers. Eli Drinkwitz is young, though, only 39 years old, is a pretty solid offensive mind, but he's a guy that needs a big year in 2022. He's failed to live up to the expectations the last 2 years. If he fails to do it again in 2022, his time in Columbia could be cut short. Coming in at number 12, Billy Napier at Florida. He recorded a 40-12 record in 4 years at Louisiana. He added with that 2 Sun Belt Conference championships and 3 straight double-digit win seasons. 40-12 in 4 seasons. I don't care who you are. I don't care what program you're coaching. That is an unbelievable stat. It's extremely impressive. Napier inherits a tough rebuild program now at Florida, a Florida team that seemed to be heading in the right direction under Dan Mullen, but then Marco Wilson decided to throw a shoe and everything started going downhill. But he's a guy that I do believe can recruit the region, can recruit not just the state of Florida, but the South as a whole. And with his offensive mind, I believe he can turn Florida around relatively quickly. Coming in at number 11, Bryan Harsin at Auburn. A guy who went 6-7 in his lone year with the Tigers in 2021. 6-7 and lost to Houston in the Birmingham Bowl. Auburn wanted him gone. Auburn, I think, wants him gone. There was that whole offseason debacle about the off-field affair that Bryan Harsin may or may not have had. Auburn was trying desperately to get rid of him, but they did not. And Harsin will be around for the 2022 season. Here's the thing, though. He's 82-31 overall. He's a solid head coach. 5 double-digit win seasons and 3 Mountain West Conference titles during his time at Boise State. But he's already on the hot seat. 1 more 6-7 season, 7-5 season on the Plains, and Bryan Harsin will be out of Auburn. Coming in at number 10, Mike Leach at Mississippi State. I love Mike Leach as a person. I love all the quotes he had, and I love his offensive philosophy with the air raid. But he's just 11-13 during his time in Starkville. The Bulldogs went 7-6 in 2021, but they lost to Texas Tech in the Liberty Bowl. And that's a disappointing mark for the Bulldogs, guys. They had a relatively strong start to the year and then ended poorly. Mike Leach has to find a way to turn things around. He's got the quarterback in place to run the air raid, but he's got to improve the defense. But overall, guys, he's a coach that's 150-103 in his career. He's a guy that rebuilt Texas Tech. He's a guy that rebuilt Washington State. And let's keep in mind that he went 14-11 in his first 2 years at Texas Tech, went 9-16 in his first 2 years at Washington State. So things can quickly turn around down in Starkville, but right now we have him in the lower level of SEC coaches. Coming in at number 9, Shane Beamer at South Carolina. This guy is killing it in Columbia. And some will say, how's a guy that has 1 year of head coaching experience ahead of a guy like Mike Leach or Bryan Harsin? Well, I'm going to tell you why. In his lone year as a head coach, he took over a South Carolina program that did not have any high expectations. Many projected them to win maybe 3 or 4 games. Got them to a bowl game, won that bowl game over their rival in North Carolina, and now has expectations sky high in Columbia for 2022. He added Spencer Rattler. He's recruiting extremely well. He's young. He's energetic. And his, again, brought some excitement back to the South Carolina football program. Not to mention that he is the son of the legendary Frank Beamer, the legendary head coach at Virginia Tech. He's got a little pull there. Shane Beamer is doing phenomenal things at South Carolina, and I believe that the Gamecocks will be a threat in the SEC East, possibly as soon as 2022, but definitely by 2023. Coming in at number 8, Josh Hypel at Tennessee. This is a guy that I had doubts about. I had major doubts about Josh Hypel and this Tennessee hire. The way that his tenure at UCF ended, it didn't sit well with me. But he exceeded my expectations in 2021. He led the Volunteers to a 7-6 record. But they should have won that bowl game over Purdue. We will keep that in mind. Should have won the bowl game over Purdue. But regardless, a 7-6 record with one of the most prolific offenses, not just in the SEC, but in the country. And now he has a chance to do that yet again, maybe be even better with the addition of Hendon Hooker, or the return of Hendon Hooker at quarterback, and some key additions on the recruiting trail. Hypel is doing a phenomenal job with the Volunteers so far. It's only been 1 year. He did a great job at UCF, though, 28-8 in 3 seasons there, and I expect that he's going to quickly turn this Volunteers program around and make it way better than where it was when he took over after the Jeremy Pruitt debacle. Coming in at number 7, we're now in the top half of the SEC. There's 14 coaches. We're in at number 7, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Say what you want. Maybe Lane Kiffin should be higher on this mark for you. But as much as I like Lane Kiffin, I don't think he is above some of the other coaches that we're going to talk about in a second. He is the king of social media. Many say he's the king of the transfer portal. But the really other question is, how long will he last at Ole Miss? How long will he last at Ole Miss? He's had very brief stays at all of his other stops, whether he's been fired or chosen to leave. He is 15-8 in his 2 years at Ole Miss, but did lead the Rebels to a 10-3 record last year, including a Sugar Bowl berth before falling to Baylor. He is 76-41 overall in his career. Brilliant offensive mind, learned under the best and Nick Saban. I really think that Kiffin has matured over the years. Many say earlier in his coaching tenure he was immature. Now he's matured after working under Saban, after slowly taking a job at Florida Atlantic and working his way back up the ladder. He's doing phenomenal things at Ole Miss, and the Rebels will be a West contender once again in 2022. In at number 6, Sam Pittman at Arkansas. Many think these two should be flopped. Kiffin should be 6th, Pittman should be 7th. But I'm looking at what Pittman did, and it's something that Lane Kiffin didn't have to do. Pittman had to come in here and completely rebuild this Arkansas program. An Arkansas team that was abysmal in 2017, 2018, 2019. The Chad Morris era was god-awful. And in 2 years, Sam Pittman is 12-11. He went 3-7 in 2020, that COVID year, finally getting the Razorbacks an SEC conference victory, not winning just one, but 3 of them. And then in 2021, had the Razorbacks as high as number 8 in the country before finishing the year at 9-4 with an Outback Bowl victory. The Razorbacks have tons of talent coming back in 2022. They're not just an SEC West title contender, but possibly a playoff dark horse if you go watch one of our previous videos. But Pittman has done a phenomenal job transforming the culture and the expectations in Fayetteville and giving the Razorback fans something to be excited about again. We're now into our top 5. Coming in at 5, Brian Kelly at LSU, the new head man down in Baton Rouge. Kelly went 92-39 in 12 years at Notre Dame, had 2 playoff berths and a national championship berth all the way back in 2012. In his coaching career, he is 263, 96-2. But the million-dollar question is, can Brian Kelly win in the SEC? He really struggled to win the big games at Notre Dame. Never won one of those playoff games. Did not win that national championship in 2012. Can he now win in the SEC West against the likes of Alabama and Auburn and now Arkansas and Ole Miss? That'll be the million-dollar question. But Brian Kelly's track record speaks for himself. He's not just one of the best coaches in the conference, but one of the best coaches in the country. In at 4, Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. And I will say that for me, the only reason that Jimbo Fisher is above Brian Kelly at number 4 is because of that national championship that he has at Florida State back in 2013. Fisher's 82-23 during his time at Florida State, but he's just 34-14 in his 4 years at Texas A&M. I think a lot of people like to put Jimbo Fisher higher up on lists like this just because of his name. But his job at Texas A&M has not been very impressive. No double-digit win seasons, has failed to live up to lofty expectations every single year, a disappointing 8-4 season last year in 2021. He is 3-0 in bowl games, But that 10-year, $75 million contract, they're not looking for 3-0 in normal bowl games. They're not looking for 8-4 records. They're looking for SEC titles. They're looking for playoff appearances. And A&M, once again, has those expectations in 2022. The question is, can Fisher deliver? Into our top 3. Mark Stoops at Kentucky. He deserves to be this high. Many will say, how is he above Jimbo Fisher? Again, look at the situations. Look at the situation that Mark Stoops inherited. In 9 years at Kentucky, a Kentucky program that is not a football program by any means, is solely a basketball program, but in 9 years there, he has accumulated a 59-53 record. That doesn't sound great, but let's keep in mind that he has had Kentucky with 2 10-win seasons in the last 4 years. He has made 6 straight bowl games. He's won the last 4 bowl games. All of those marks for Kentucky football, it's unreal. And as some people have said, if he's able to do that at Kentucky, imagine what he could do at a bigger program. Many thought he might go take that Florida State job a few years ago, but he stayed put in Lexington, and the Wildcat faithful, Big Blue Nation, they're thankful for that, because he not only has Kentucky as a perennial, as of now, top 25 team, but maybe a sleeper team in the SEC East going into 2022. We now get to the top 2. These are pretty self-explanatory. Number 2, Kirby Smart at Georgia. He's 66-15 in 6 years with the Bulldogs. He just went 14-1, won the national championship over Nick Saban in Alabama. He's made 2 national championship appearances in 2 college football playoff appearances, like we just mentioned. Got that national championship, the first one for Georgia since 1980. Smart, in a very quick and short amount of time, has solidified himself as one of the best in the conference and absolutely one of the best in the country. But only behind, of course, the number 1 coach in the SEC, the number 1 coach in the nation, Nick Saban. It's undisputed, guys. 7 national championships, 6 of those coming at Alabama. 10 SEC championships, 8 of those coming at Alabama. He's compiled a 178-25 record with the Crimson Tide. He has a 269-67-1 overall record during his college career. Nick Saban is absolutely unreal. He is the king of the SEC, and he is the king of college football until proven otherwise. And really, I think it will be that way until he retires. And who knows when that will be. Nick Saban and Alabama are consistently the team to beat in the SEC, and again, it will remain that way until Saban finally calls it quits. So guys, there you have it, our top rankings for the SEC football coaches. We'll be doing this for every single Power 5 conference. We have to start with the best, though, starting with the SEC. Let us know your rankings down in the comments below. Do you believe that Nick Saban should be number 1? I believe many of you do. But who should be ranked behind him? 2 through 14 can always be up for debate, and we want to hear from you. But until then, guys, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. Help us grow our channel here at the Gridiron Expert. Become a part of our team. We want you to become a part of the GE Nation. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.